is only a state of mind. Yes, it is.
Betsy, it's now or never. We are gonna make a movie.
Bowfinger International Pictures.
Bling, bling. Hello. So before we started recording, hold on. Joe just had to mention something.
I already forgot what it is.
That you loved this movie.
oh yeah. We were just like chatting and I was like, I was like, Jesse, I'm so happy you picked this movie because I had never even heard of it, but it is hilarious.
So good. Well,
it's so good.
So today's movie that I picked was Bowfinger, the Steve Martin classic. This is like such a family classic movie for me. Like this was my family's like favorite movie. Like I very much grew up being intro to comedy with like Steve Martin and Martin Short. And it's been a movie like all throughout Portland. I kept being like, oh, you guys got to come over. I'm going to force you to watch Bowfinger. And I also was slightly like, I love the movie so much that I was like, I want to show it to him, but if they hate it, I'm going to be kind of mad. You know, like
good news is I don't hate it.
That's true. Me too. The only reason I know this movie is because Jesse was trying to get me to watch this for years on movie nights. And I was always like, I probably should have just watched it and been nice and been like, yeah, let's watch it. But I'm really snobby with movies. So,
and it took Joe starting a podcast and then having me on it and then forcing him for the podcast to watch it.
Well, I guess the good thing about this podcast is that, you know, it kind of forces us to watch movies that we normally wouldn't watch. So, and I will say, I loved this movie. This was great.
Yes,
I'm really bummed I never watched it with you.
I think I just won this podcast, and I think we could just wrap it up. I have a weird feeling of like trying to set this up a little bit more than the first two episodes, D2 and Bad Times at the El Royale, because I assume more people have not seen this movie. But this is basically a story of like Steve Martin is like a down and out director, and it's basically them making a movie, figuring out ways to get through Hollywood with kind of like no money and no actors. But which is why I also love it, because I kind of feel like it's something we would have done. 100%. You know, like when we shot stuff as a kid, I was like, this is kind of how it would roll. But Steve Martin, Eddie Murphy is so good in it.
Amazing.
He plays two characters. He's so good at that. Jamie Kennedy. I like forgot that, and then I was like, oh yeah, Joe loves Jamie Kennedy.
In a few of his roles, like he just reminds me of me a little bit, because I feel like he always plays like a film nerd or like a horror guy or something. I'm like,
I see that.
Yeah.
And I guess most people probably know this movie from. That's why they know Robert Downey Jr. This is his one big movie. I actually forgot he was in this at all. But
this was probably one of because this was around the time, this was 99, probably shot in around 98, 97. This is around the time where he was like getting back into Hollywood after his like arrest and all that. So I think this was like, because like Iron Man was his big film, like that brought him back into like the spotlight, basically.
What was that film?
I thought this was the big film that brought him back.
Yeah. I didn't know you did more, but yeah, I'll check it out. Cool. Just because there's so many favorite parts in this movie, though. But I want to hear if you guys had favorite scenes or jokes or like.
Yes.
Because like my family quoted this throughout growing up, so like there's so many good things.
I like know immediately because I was like, Dee can attest, I was like dying laughing. It's the scene where Eddie Murphy's character as the brother was just running across the highway like Frogger style. And then like, he actually made it, which is like, I was like, this dude's definitely getting hit by a car. And then when he actually made it, and they're like, great, now we just need one more shot. Do it again.
Okay, but first, let's do this one more time.
I felt like there was a lot of like kind of like cringy humor, and usually I hate cringy humor. but for some reason, like maybe it's just because Eddie Murphy's hilarious, but it hit right.
Mm-hmm. I love when they show up on the freeway and they're like, no. I mean, it's kind of like the running joke kind of through the whole movie, how they're shooting it, but they're like, everyone's a stunt driver. Don't worry, they're not going to hit you. Every single person's a stunt driver. And he's like, you sure? And when he gets by the first time, they were like, all the stunt drivers said they were very impressed.
The stunt drivers were really impressed, weren't they?
I was like, what does this movie remind me of? And it was like Napoleon Dynamite, The Room, if they had a budget and they were more funny. But yeah, I totally agree with you, Joe. Like I'm not a huge type of like fan of that type of humor. But I mean, I actually laughed a lot during this movie, and I thought of Jesse the entire time. I was like, this is a movie Jesse would make. 100%. The end scene, we will get to that, but the end scene, I was like, this is a Jesse directed scene.
I wrote that down as like maybe the best end scene in movie history, possibly.
I had two parts that I was just dying. The first part, it was small, but it's a very like subtle thing, but it's the first time you're in the Mindhead headquarters and you just hear the audio repeating where it's like Mindhead. I could just imagine that repeating like an infinite amount of times when you're just there at that.
If I wasn't drinking the Kool-Aid and then I had heard nothing but that, like I just
And then the other part I loved was the parking garage scene with the high heels.
Oh yeah, that was great too. I forgot about that one.
I literally couldn't stop laughing during the whole scene.
There are so many good, like, such subtle jokes in like this movie. Like, not even subtle, but the time I realized it is when Steve Martin, they're getting ready to shoot the scene in the house, and he's like, maybe we should turn the fireplace on, and it like kind of explodes for a second, like behind him, but then it's not even mentioned. Like the scene just completely moves on. And I'm like, oh yeah, there's all these like kind of things happening, but like, you know, it's not like this is the joke, pause, here it is.
It's great. It's so different and weird, but I like it.
The one thing I was thinking throughout is like, as they're filming all these different scenes, I was like, I wonder if they're going to actually show the movie they're making at the end. Like I was like, they kind of have to, but they're always so far away from what they're shooting. And like they did it like many times, have like some character that was just like sitting somewhere with like a microphone and they're just like, so like, I mean, that kind of explains away a little bit of that, but like, and I mean, they did show the shots from the angle that they would have been from, but I was just like, there's no way you could make an entire movie like this. But like, I don't know. I just, maybe that's the practicalness of me thinking, but
there's always a way.
Yeah.
All the shots, especially with Eddie Murphy, it was just one angle, like one take. I was like, this is hilarious. Like the chase scenes, like how are they gonna get like it's like a 10-minute shot of him just running down the street.
Yep.
I do love too though, like the scene that Joe mentioned with running across the freeway. I love that the scene directly before it is Eddie Murphy's audition, which I also love. Like that part of the movie is just so good. You know, where they're like, his name's Jiff. And, you know, they're like,
oh, it was Jeff. I thought it was Jeff.
No, it's Jiff. It's Jiff, I believe.
What'd you say your name was?
Jiffrinson.
Jiffrinson?
Jiff, my friends call me Jiff.
Jiff? Well, Jiff, welcome aboard.
Getting Jiff.
And, you know, they're like, are you willing to cut your hair for this role? And he's like, yeah, but it's usually better when someone else does it.
Yeah, I thought that was very much a Jesse joke.
Yeah. And I read out too that they're like that audition with Eddie Murphy, that scene, and then the scene also where she takes her top off for the shot and Eddie Murphy, you know, is just like standing there being like, you're gonna be a star. Like those were just fully ad-libbed by Eddie Murphy. Like,
oh really?
In the audition, yeah, like Steve Martin didn't tell Eddie Murphy some of the questions he was going to ask in the audition. And like, so a lot of the Eddie Murphy stuff was just like ad-libbed in the middle of it.
That's hilarious. I had
I
no
like
idea.
kind of forgot how much I loved Eddie Murphy until last night. He's so good.
Honestly. I feel like he likes to play multiple characters in movies. I don't know if
He's
that's
so
an
good
Eddie
at it.
Murphy thing. He's great at it. Yeah.
I
But
did see that. I was trying to do my like fun facts, IMDb trivia on the movie, which I don't know all the truth, but I was like, get prepared for this podcast. And I did see that originally when Steve Martin wrote the movie, that that role also was considered for Keanu Reeves, which seems
weird.
very strange, but I could see it maybe.
I could 100% see it, but I don't know. It's weird.
I feel like it's
Yeah,
tailor
same
made for Eddie Murphy. I can't even imagine Keanu Reeves doing that.
Yeah, I think as soon as Eddie Murphy wanted to work with Steve Martin so bad, so he was just like in. And I forget what 2 other movies he was shooting, but he only had 6 weeks. And so they did all of his like shots in 6 weeks because he wanted to do it. And it was directed by Frank Oz from the Muppets.
Right. And Star Wars. He plays Yoda.
Oh, yeah. He's the voice of Yoda.
He does all the Muppets voices for Sesame Street. And
Frank Oz?
Frank Oz, yeah.
Oh, wow. I didn't know that.
He also, I watched Indian in the Cupboard a couple days ago just on a whim because I used to love that movie. And he directed that movie.
Oh, interesting.
So I had no idea.
I was thinking about locations too because I didn't check in the app to see if we had any of them marked down, but I feel like a lot of them are just, places in LA. Like, I don't know that I would recommend going to that spot on the freeway, but
it's a great spot. It's really good.
But like, I'm sure all those buildings and like, where kids like sitting out at like a restaurant when they shoot their scene. They all seem like public places. Like you could totally go visit.
Yeah, it ends at not the movie ends, but up at Griffith Observatory, which is a cool place to go.
Have you
Movie
been?
location or not? I have been.
It's like 100 movies filmed there or something.
Yeah, it's such an LA place. Like it was like an LA thing to do where like you hike up to that spot. You can drive to or hike, and it's like always super busy. It's like not Runyon Canyon, but it's like a very LA thing.
What was his tagline?
They keep it together.
Keep it together.
Oh, no. When the like final line of the movie, like,
oh, gotcha suckers.
Gotcha suckers.
Right?
Oh,
Like,
right.
We just need you to scream this.
For a while, when Steve Martin's was like pitching the movie to Kit, he had like said, I think to his agent or something, where he's like, I just want a movie with like a good tagline. And like Steve Martin's character was like just saying like, oh, this has such a good ending. And it just says like, gotcha suckers. And I was like, is that going to be what wins him over? Of course.
It's a great tagline.
The guy from Mindhead was like, no alien movies. And it's like a straight alien movie.
I do love Daisy's character anytime she's in a scene, like where she's like, Keith, you forgot your briefcase, but her dancing, like when she's just talking, or if you notice that scene where he comes up, he pulls a gun on him, and then she like kicks it out of his hand and then shoots the guy, and he's there's like the little like ketchup like explosion, and the guy he just got shot, and then they're like running around. And then they come right before Kit jumps back in the car. You see the guy who just got shot way in the background of the scene being like, just like still standing, but dancing in the back. It's just so good.
Heather Graham's awesome. She's great. Her and the guy, I don't know the guy's name, the other actor, but they were like so purposely bad. Like the guy was especially just off. That's why it reminded me of The Room a little bit. I was like, he reminded me of like a Mark Sestero like type of like character. Sestero, I think that's how you say his name. But it was so funny. Yeah, that gun scene was great. That was up there for me as well. But it was a joy to see Terrence Stamp in this, like as the cult leader. He played the same character in Yes Man, basically, because he runs the Yes convention.
Him and Eddie Murphy were also both in The
Haunted Mansion.
Haunted Mansion, the Disney movie.
Totally.
Yeah.
I didn't even think about that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Same characters, just 10 years later.
There was also with like random cameos. I'm assuming this was really early in his career, but John Chu.
Oh
Who
yeah,
was-
yeah. I think it's Cho.
John Cho. Vacuuming was just like a night, and that was all he was. It was like the smallest cameo, but I saw him and I was like, oh my god! They're like, this was probably before he really became like a huge actor.
I think it was the
Great
same year.
role.
I think it was because American Pie was 1999, same year. So that was like
Oh.
the same year he was in American Pie.
So like equal roles, like very
Equal, same.
like
Again, same character.
I didn't check this, but I'm pretty sure they got like 8 Oscars. I didn't.
They just didn't put him down in the IMDb. They have them. They just didn't log them.
Yeah, they have them. They set records or something. But
I did read that on like a location note. I did read that Kit's house was the same place as Wayne Manor from the Batman show from the 60s.
oh, that's cool.
Which was kind of fun. I thought it was a set. So the original, the Batman was a set. I didn't realize that. But yeah,
So that's a real location.
apparently, according to IMDb. Don't take my word, but
We have to go visit, otherwise we won't know for sure.
yes, agreed.
We have to go visit, reshoot Bowfinger, but like us doing it, shooting a movie.
That
Okay,
would
hold
actually
on.
be a hilarious film, is if somebody like basically tried to recreate the entire movie
Chubby Ray.
of,
Oh my god,
of people trying to like go to the scenes.
Oh,
it gives me a headache.
It's super
we-
meta.
can we talk about the ending though? The best ending in movie history, where it goes really well. They basically blackmail Kit into being in the movie. They release it, and then they go to Taiwan.
Hold up, you're skipping the best part because they get such a good FedEx cameo.
Oh yeah,
That's true. That is like
For some reason, the FedEx man is like a very like I've made it kind of moment, which
I did
maybe
when I
it
was
was that. I
rewatching
don't
it.
know.
Yeah, I was like, wait, what is this part? Like, this is a bigger scene than I remember, right? And it was just like, no, just FedEx guy, priority mail. He just comes into your house, hand
we're going to
delivers it to
Taiwan.
you.
Was it Thailand or I can't quite remember.
I think it was Taiwan.
Yeah, I think it was Taiwan, but could be
don't
wrong.
know.
But Jiff, Eddie Murphy as Jiff, comes in as I don't even know how to describe this, but martial arts, some of the best fight scenes. Like, I don't know who choreographed those fights, but pretty good. Like that was the scene I was watching that I was like, that's like the cherry on top for this movie for me. Because like that is straight up something we would have shot, like fight scenes like that.
Oh yeah.
And
It would
then
have been that cringy too.
Yep. And then like, Steve Martin also comes in, and then like 1,000 ninjas just pour in and they're like, all right, let's go. And they're like slowly getting down.
Oh, I literally thought of you immediately. I was like, this
best.
is why Jesse likes this movie.
Like, if you don't, I mean, you should go watch the movie, everybody. But if you don't, just go watch
Of course.
the end scene, and then you'll be convinced to watch what led up to that.
One little part that I really liked, it was a couple lines, but it was like the cop, when they pulled over Kit, and the cop actor, the first cop actor, he just like said his lines. He didn't even like act them.
Number 13 on Premier's Powerless. What you doing now?
Tough guys like you don't get far in this world, mister.
Jesse,
It's
so
so
I
dry.
want to. Can you tell us more about like I feel like I don't actually even have the full scoop, but like, so you're like your family loved this movie. How did they get into it? Like, what? Did somebody just like find it and they're like, guys, you have to watch this?
No, I mean, just like normal, everyone's family was into this, right? This is like, I mean, I don't remember how it was like this movie, but like my mom's side especially has just always loved Steve Martin and Martin Short. Like, that's the pinnacle of comedy for that side. So I think just with it being a Steve Martin movie, it came out and we were like, yeah, absolutely. And then I think we all have that kind of sense of humor. We're like, for years we were like quoting like, "You forgot your briefcase, Keith. Keep it together." It was just this long list of just like it's just one of those movies that just stuck because there were so many like references and quotes from it.
If I ever say Kit to you, that I mean keep it together.
Yeah,
Keep it together.
And like that's exactly why they named him Kit. There were definitely like I think like the scene like where they did like the fake getting shot and the briefcase and everything. That one to me was like one of the more cringy ones.
Uh-huh.
And like but like I think I was laughing enough at the other ones that I just thought were like so ridiculous that they were funny. That it like didn't bother me as much. But like sometimes when I'm just like, yeah, I don't know, I can't get into this. But I don't know. It was cringe humor, but like done well, I feel like.
Yeah. I think that's like a perfect way to describe it. I think when I was watching it, as soon as I saw the Eddie Murphy audition, I was like, I think they're gonna like this. Like I was like, yeah, I think I'm safe.
I'm actually pumped.
Yeah,
this one.
It was a solid movie. Yeah, I probably never would have watched this ever. So
it's gonna drive me to make my next pick be like a super obscure.
You haven't even seen it. You're like, there's a 1978 comedy that's pretty good.
I want to pick a movie that like I haven't even seen, but that'll be later. That'll be eventually.
Oh yeah, that's true. That'll be fun. Wait, but hold on. You went to film school and you're telling me you didn't watch Bowfinger? I mean, the movie is like about making movies. It's about Hollywood.
And I don't know how you guys feel, but I actually like movies about making movies. I know some people don't like it, but I like it just because like, I mean, I don't know if it's like, I know I went to film school, so like I'm in the business and it's fun to see what their take on it is because the director clearly has like, they basically put their set experience into the movie, I assume. I'm assuming Frank Oz has some bizarre stories on Sesame Street or Star Wars.
My only thing with movies about movies is I feel like maybe just because all movie writers and script writers do that, and so it's like their world kind of. I just feel like sometimes it's a little overdone in terms of like frequency. Like there are a lot of movies about movies. Like I don't necessarily like dislike movies about movies. It's just I feel like there's a lot of them. You know what I mean?
I do think it's kind of funny in the same way, like you mentioned Room, but specifically the Disaster Artist, the James Franco one, about it, how hard we are laughing, like when he goes to like rent, like get camera gear and they're like, do you want to rent or buy? And he's like, both. And they're like, digital or film? And he's like, we'll do both. Just like that aspect of like making a movie.
Yeah, it's kind of like they make fun of it almost. Like, because I feel like it's people take filmmaking so seriously. I feel like, especially on set. I like these movies because it makes more fun of it. It should be more fun. It should be more fun to be on set. But I feel like a lot of times, at least in my experience, there's been times where people are just cranky and it's just terrible to make movies. But this makes it look fun.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of that like self-awareness in it, and like it's like making fun of Hollywood, even though it is Hollywood making it. And I think there's stories of like Steve Martin, like certain characters being based off of. Like Daisy's character, I think, was based off of like an actress that he was seeing at the time, and like really closely, or seeing right before that. I don't know, but like I'm sure even more than they're said, he like has written parts based on real Hollywood stuff,
probably
just to like make light of it.
I mean, maybe everyone just needs to use Bowfinger as like the gold standard of what being on a set should be like.
I mean, if they showed it in film school,
it's gonna be good, right?
You're gonna tell me next. You're gonna be like, we didn't even watch Ratatouille. It's like,
I watched that for the first time a couple months ago. So
I still haven't seen it.
I almost picked it. I almost picked Ratatouille, and then I was like, kind of weird to pick an animated movie for like we're talking about locations. I mean, we could, there's still locations. But I wanted to start off with Bowfinger. But I was almost gonna like buy you a copy and mail it to you in DVD, and be like, hey man, heard you went to film school. Like, check this one out.
That would have been amazing if I got that in the mail.
Are there any? Like you just got me thinking. Are there any animated movies that are like animations of the real world. So like you could go to see a location, but it's
essentially
animated
like
version.
Ratatouille, I guess, would
It's
be
France,
one of them.
right? I don't know.
I mean,
much.
Yeah, Paris.
you have a bunch of like New York City animated movies. I've seen people out there who've done comparisons, and
We should add
things
some.
like that. Yeah. I mean, that'd be cool.
That would be kind of cool. Visit an animated location.
Yeah, the Pixar headquarters in the like Leica or something. Jesse, did you like this movie the first time you watched it? Like when your family showed it to you, or was it like were you like immediately hooked?
I mean, I don't remember because this came out when I was like 5, and I'm sure we watched it like when it came, so it's like, I don't remember seeing this for the first time, but I remember watching it a ton growing up. So like, I don't know if I was like hooked at first or if I just was like, you're young enough where you're like, this is what comedy is. You're going to love it. You've seen it 40 times.
So you understood blackmail at age 5?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, but he wasn't blackmail. He's just a guy. And he's...
Any final thoughts on this movie, or did we pick one for next week too? We said we were going to try and do that. I don't know if we
I
did.
gotta reveal one. We might gotta.
Oh yeah. Well, Joe will reveal
at the end
the next week.
Just
I don't know.
keep
Probably
it
rewatch it
together.
today.
I was on
just-
the IMDb, and they were saying that Eddie Murphy could only work in like a 6-week window for this. So he was like super busy, I guess, shooting a couple other movies, and it's kind of funny because that was kind of like what was happening in the movie, basically. Like I feel like them shooting him in the movie was kind of like this is really hard to describe.
I know exactly what you mean. It's like his character was going through the same thing as real world.
Yeah, exactly.
Was going through. Yeah, I know what you mean.
Yeah.
I was going to ask if you knew, obviously it's playing off the Headspace. Brought to you by Headspace. If, obviously that's like a play on like Scientology and a lot of things, but like I was just so curious when the like Tom Cruise Scientology was like at its peak, where if this was clearly, like it was clearly Scientology with Hollywood, but if the whole Tom Cruise in that was after this or before, I didn't look it up.
I don't know.
I was just curious.
We'll just leave that as a cliffhanger.
If anybody knows the answer, if anybody would like to use Google for us, feel free to email.
Or if you know Tom Cruise, just
maybe Tom Cruise. Maybe you are Tom Cruise listening to this podcast
for sure.
Just tweet at us.
Mm-hmm.
I just love this movie, and I just feel like there's so many other things.
I know.
While I was watching it, that I was like, "Oh, make a note of that." Like,
I feel like every scene, it is there for a reason. Like, there's a bunch of scenes that are like so random, but they make sense within the plot. Like you were saying, the explosion, or like, I don't know, just random stuff that doesn't really need to happen, but it does in a weird way. Like,
so
like why was it in there?
seamlessly.
Right, seamlessly.
Yeah, like, it doesn't feel
like how Heather Graham's character like sleeps with every character. Like they allude to it and they show it, but they don't they never discuss it, or they're never like ask her why or anything. And then she's got the woman at the end, or she's like, oh, and they're clearly alluding to that's her new lover. But
yeah, there was something on like, Steve Martin writing it based on someone he was seeing before, or something, who had some relationship with Ellen, and like that's why they wrote the ending.
Oh, interesting.
Like that. I can't remember who the actress is though.
Again, if you have Google,
this whole script is just like a pure inside Steve Martin's head. Then,
yeah, he did have the idea for the movie like 10 years before he, I think, even like started writing it. I mean, the idea is basically like, it's not that crazy of an idea.
I like it though. I feel like I haven't seen anything like it.
Dude,
it's a classic.
It's
Roger Ebert, I believe, loved it.
I don't think Eddie Murphy gets enough credit. We take him for granted. Oh, he plays 6 scenes, plays 6 characters in the movie plus himself. Think about that. There's a scene in this movie where there were 5 different people on screen, and they're all being played by Eddie Murphy, all in makeup, combined with computer animation. And what's amazing is they're all convincing, they're all funny, and we believe they're all around that table together. I mean, he really created a lot of original stuff with a lot of hard work in this movie. And it's funny, which is the only reason to go. If it doesn't make you laugh, there's no reason to go. But I don't know if Eddie Murphy really gets credit for that. He was in this movie Steve Martin made last summer called Bowfinger, where he plays a superstar, and then he plays the superstar's goofy double, who turns out to be his brother. The double is a funnier character than the superstar. He's just so abashed. You want me to be in a movie? Oh, I can't believe it. This kid would do anything to be in the movie, including walking in traffic. And the fact that he creates these two different characters, you never think it's a stunt. You never think Eddie Murphy is, just kind of doing it in order to get his name in the credits twice. You believe there are two different people there on the screen.
I was pretty sure too this podcast, it's like, hopefully I didn't kind of black out, but I thought I would just be quoting like the whole movie. I'd be like, do you guys remember this joke? And then, just like butcher it for everybody listening. Like I didn't see the movie, but I heard Jesse kind of horribly retell all the jokes.
What's this rated? Is this PG-13?
I don't know.
It's weird. I don't look at ratings
I was
anymore.
5 at the
guys,
time,
but...
so
well,
I am bad at
like you watched
PG-13.
anything though. Yeah, I feel like it is PG-13. I was gonna say this could be like a really fun like family movie. I mean, obviously, for you,
It turned out great.
Yeah, if you're looking for something just like to throw on, you don't know what to watch, throw on some Bowfinger.
It's a good film.
Super entertaining. Your parents will laugh. Your grandparents will laugh. Your kids will laugh. You'll laugh. Your dog will laugh because there are some great dog scenes.
That's true. It's
I
all
think
again.
That might have been like one of the first things that like got me laughing is just the dog like laying on its back on the couch. Because like as that dog was doing that, Buddy was literally just doing the exact same thing.
That's hilarious.
It's a vibe.
I read that was like that wasn't even supposed to happen. I guess the dog like rolled over and they liked it, I guess.
Wonder how many takes that took.
I know. Although I don't know.
The whole movie, one take. Everything. They just nailed it.
There's actually no cuts. I don't know. I have worked with dogs on set before, and those dogs are really well trained. Like
I remember
crazy.
At like I think like Universal maybe in LA, going to one of those like shows in Universal where it's all the trained animals. It's like birds, dogs, cats, and they show that like everything they can do, and you're like, oh
That's
my
crazy.
God, yeah.
I don't know how they do it. Train my dog.
Your dogs could have movie careers, guys. That's what I'm saying.
Buddy and Tippy.
Guys, Tom Cruise is
The
probably
headliners.
listening to this, looking for his next co-star.
Mission Impossible with
Sign
a buddy.
Buddy up.
Mission Impossible.
Ooh, Jesse. It's like the new Air Buddies.
It's more cringy
Buddies.
humor.
That's such a Jesse joke right there.
It's that's my next pick.
Impossible.
Do we want to reveal next week's pick?
Yeah, I would love. At some point I would love to kind of have like a virtual like a wheel, and we all picked movies, like 100 movies or something, and we
Like
just spin the
spinning it.
wheel. That would be kind
That
of
would
fun.
be spinning a wheel would be really cool. That's a
Because
good
then
idea.
everyone's on it. None of us know what it is at that time. So,
I do like
Yeah.
that.
so maybe we could do that at some point.
That's
but-
a good idea. We should, or maybe like a theme song too for this. We just overproduce this end. The whole podcast isn't produced, and then this end bit. It's just we're like
hire like a
we
professional.
spent $50,000 on this end 10 seconds.
I think I'm gonna go with. Now, Joe, I don't know if you've seen this or not. I think you have.
What about me?
No, I mean,
No?
if you have, I'll be very surprised. But I highly doubt it.
Alright.
I'm gonna go with the Invisible Man from 2020.
So I've seen it. I have not seen it.
I actually have seen this, and
Okay.
I thought it was really good. A lot of times, if I'm not like in a theater, I'm kind of like I feel like it loses some of its effect. But this was in the middle of, COVID, so we were just at home looking for a good movie to watch, and it turned out to be pretty good. So, yeah,
I'm glad to hear that.
I'm
Well,
about it.
It's
You know where Joe's review's coming in.
Yeah, I'm curious to hear both of your thoughts on that.
Invisible Man.
It was one of my favorite movies of last year. I mean,
I'm pretty sure I know what this movie is, though. At least
you probably do. I mean,
Wait, what is that?
this
What do you
movie,
think it is?
The Invisible Man, horror, grabs people. You know, Slender Man. Basically, I was gonna say it's like we did Slender Man, but in a green screen suit, and then we make him invisible. I don't even think I need to watch this movie, honestly. But
yeah, you got it. You got it. You loved it.
Hey.
Obviously, you don't have to, but it would be kind of fun to watch. This could be just a different episode too. But the original Invisible Man from 1934. I think it's 34. Hold on. I'm just gonna check because people will get mad at me, including myself.
I was gonna say I think that's mostly from you. I don't know anyone who's like, "Oh my God, Joe, the movie's from 1938."
I would get mad if someone got it wrong.
The guy is clearly an idiot.
33. Okay, it's 33, so I did get it wrong. But it's not the same. It's not like a remake. It technically is, but it's almost like a reboot instead of a remake. Very different story. But there's like a couple things that like allude to the original, which is kind of fun. I don't know. Yeah.
I'm about it. I'm ready.
But
Till
it's
next
great.
time.
Great movie. So
All right. Well,
cool.
Here we go.